In this video, I want to take on a basic tour of the kinds of returns that investors in fixed income securities expect to get and highlight one or two ways of flagging the risks associated with fixed income securities. So with no more ado, what will affect the price? That's one of the key risks of owning any security is will it go down, will it go up, what sorts of things will affect how volatile the security is. And with a fixed income security, interest rates and time remaining until maturity are two of the most important factors. With interest rates, you've got a kind of inverse relationship. So if there's my sort of seesaw, if you like, and there's interest rates on one end and there's a fixed income security on the other, essentially that very basic little drawing, art's not my forte as you can probably imagine, tells you that as a rule of thumb, when interest rates go down, fixed income security prices tend to go up and vice versa. There's an inverse relationship. Now, why would that be? Well, think about it. If I had the opportunity to buy a security that pays a fixed coupon, it's never going to change, of 5%, and someone says, but Tim, there's a bank account out there that pays 10%. I'll be thinking, well, the bank account's less risky and it pays me more money. So I'll be thinking, well, let's get out of this fixed income security. I don't want that, I don't want 5%, I can get 10. So I'll start dumping my fixed income securities and piling into the alternative investment that pays double the rate. And if I start dumping fixed income securities, what's going to happen? The price will start to come down. And the more I can get in the bank, the more the price will be damaged to the fixed income security. Whereas if the bank account's paying 2% and my fixed income security pays me 5%, people will think, well, that's brilliant, I want that one. I want the 5% one, not the 2% one. And they'll start piling in. And as long as those interest rates are low, people will pile in something that pays 5% and drive the price up. It will become more popular. So you've got that sort of inverse relationship. Next factor that's important is how long have I got until the bond or fixed income security is redeemed or matures. In other words, it's bought back or paid off by the issuer. Essentially, that influences how sensitive to a change in interest rate the bond will be. And the reason for that is basically this. If a bond has 30 years to go until it's bought back, essentially I'm not going to worry about that event. It's too far away. The fact it's going to be worth exactly its £100 nominal value back then doesn't worry me. 30 years is way away. So the bond will be quite sensitive to changes in interest rates. Short term it'll be quite sensitive, it will move around. Okay? Whereas a bond that's going to be bought back tomorrow morning, extreme example, I know all bonds are redeemed at their nominal value of £100. That's fact. Not 90, not 110, £100. If I know that, even if interest rates change overnight, the price of the bond's not going to move much because it is worth £100 tomorrow morning. So the closer you are to maturity, the less sensitive bond prices tend to be. Throw those two factors together and you get something you'll see mentioned on reports sometimes, mentioned by brokers, sometimes duration. Essentially, the bigger that number, duration is just a number by the way, the bigger the number, the greater the interest rate sensitivity, the risk, some people would say, of the particular bond you're looking at. All right. Just mention it here, other things do affect fixed income security prices. It's not all about interest rates, it's not all about time to maturity. Recently, for example, central banks have piled into the bond market, bought up bonds, and that has clearly influenced the price, all right, as has the rush into bonds as a kind of safe haven in times of trouble. Now, as an investor, that's all very well, knowing what's going to move the price, but what sort of return am I making? As an investor, that's what counts. What's the annual return? So I can compare that to, say, a bank account or compare it to shares, for example. And here, two calculations come in. There's the flat yield, also known as the coupon yield, also known as the income yield, so it goes by different names. That, for income investors, gives you a snapshot on the annual return you're going to make on the bond, looking just at income. The gross redemption yield and the yield to maturity are quoted quite often on reports and in newspapers, GRY, YTM, for example. You'll see them quoted like that. This one, I know it's a bit straggly, but don't worry about that. GRY, YTM, you'll see them quoted that way too. That gives you the total return taking any capital gain or loss into account. What capital gain or loss? Well, let's use this example to illustrate. Let's take a 5% bond, fixed income security, with 10 years to maturity, trading at £110 now. That's the market price. The nominal value is fixed at £100, remember. The market price set by buyers and sellers, £110. What would the flat yield and the GRY or YTM look like? Now, You'll probably never do this. It's just an illustration. All right, it's so that you can understand the published number when you see it. So here we go. The flat yield on this thing is what? Well, the coupon annually is £5. The current price is £110. As a percentage, now I'm doing this quickly because you'll probably never need to do it yourself, it's done for you, but 5 over 110 as a percentage is about 4.5%. If you're buying this bond purely for income, the annual return you can expect is 4.5%. Some of you will have spotted a flaw in this calculation though, and that is, where have you factored in the fact that if I pay £110 and hold it to maturity, it'll only be worth £100 on maturity? We know that, that's what the issuer is going to buy it back for. So you've lost £10. It's all very well saying you're making 4.5% a year, but you're losing £10 somewhere. Correct. And that's where the GRY comes in. So if that is my flat yield, FY, my GRY makes a small adjustment. Now the method I'm going to use is an approximation. All right, the proper method is a little bit more scientific, but it'll do for illustration. What I would do is take the 4.5% and make a little adjustment. Here it comes. I'm going to knock off £1 a year as my overall return and express it as a percentage. All right, why? Paying 110, remember, it'll be cashed in for £100 and it's a 10-year bond. So I'm losing £1 a year. What does that do to that calculation? Well, here's what it does. Basically, what I ought to do is say, well, if I knock off £1 as a proportion of the current price for 110 and express it as a percentage, I get more like 3.6% as a gross redemption yield or yield to maturity. Okay. Now, if you're thinking that's already a bit fiddly and you said that wasn't even the full version, all right, well, just bear in mind these are normally done for you. But what am I saying? The more important thing is what this is saying, not the numbers, to be honest. This is saying that from an income point of view, I can expect an annual return of around 4.5%. As a total return, I can expect more like 3.6%, factoring in the capital loss that arises from paying £110 for something that ultimately will only be worth 100. Okay? And it's that second number that goes onto yield curves. So let's take a look at British government IOUs and just see what's actually happened to that second return over the last 10 years or so. Okay? Here it is, the 10-year British government IOU, the gilt, over a number of years, about around 10 years on the x-axis there. And I suppose not surprisingly, as people have piled into these things seeking a safe haven, because governments don't often go bust, as central banks have bought these things, those two factors have put buying pressure, it's driven the price of these things up, which will tend to drive the yield down. In my last example, the higher that 110, the lower the overall yield. And you see that happening just there. Watch the line, down, 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 and then pops up a wee bit just as we head towards 2013. Okay, so the overall trend recently has tended to be downward. Okay, two things putting pressure on prices, squeezing yields. Now, I'm going to finish on safety. If you buy a fixed income security, how do you know how safe it is? Because I said, well, a major risk is that the price goes down as well as up. That is a risk, but the other risk is that the issuer goes bust. If that happens, you can forget about future coupons, you can forget about getting your £100 back at the end. Luckily, someone does the job for you. Now, coupons can be deferred, issuers can go bust, maybe not governments, but certainly corporate issuers. So you'll be glad to know there are credit ratings agencies out there that offer gradings on fixed income securities. Okay? Common names, Moody's, S&P and Fitch, the three big ratings agencies, and they give what are called credit ratings, AAA being the highest, just cover this briefly here, D being the lowest, the bad news. So you can look up a sort of safety rating for a typical fixed income security, anywhere from AAA, that's usually very safe governments, very high quality corporate issuers, all the way down to D, which is don't touch, danger, if you like. And that sums up our brief tour of the rewards and risks associated with buying and holding fixed income securities.